What's up everyone, Missile Master here for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. I'm going to show you guys a deck profile today for a deck that got some upgrades to it recently, and that's the Cyber Dragons archetype I really liked back in the day. I mean, basically, about mechanized dragons. Pretty cool in my opinion. They used to be really good back in the day. Well, at least Cyber Dragon was. It was considered really good. But then for a while it went off the radar, and now they've gone just like Blue Eyes and a couple of other archetypes. It's gotten some new support, so now I think it's a very viable deck again. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. I'm going to have some duels afterwards. If you guys don't know any of the effects of these cards, you can pause on them. When I move the cursor over them, I'll be talking about some of their effects in detail, not all of them. And I'll explain some of the choices as I go as well. Alright, so first we've got Cyber Eltonin. I used to run this at 2, but now I've only got it at 1 because I think that 1 is all that you really need. I mean, sometimes it is good to have 2. Like, you can play them one right after the other. If your opponent has something like a breakthrough skill or a fiendish chain, they can stop your first one. You can drop another one and finish what you started. But that being said, if you do that, he's only going to have 500 attack and defense, and that's not very good, obviously. And so I think 1 is almost always sufficient. And even if it's a little more likely you'll draw into it, if you've got 2, he's searchable. So I think that 1 is perfectly sufficient. 3 Cyber Dragons, of course, I think that's pretty standard. I don't think anybody would argue against that, especially when you see some of the effects these other guys have. 1 Solar Windjammer, he's a light machine type monster. Basically all of my monsters are light machine type, so they combo well with a couple of the other cards in the deck that we'll get to in a little bit. This guy's also a level 5, so he can make your rank 5 exceeds, which is great. He can be dropped more easily than Cyber Dragon. You know, if the field is completely empty, you can't drop Cyber Dragon because your opponent has no monsters on hand, but you can drop the Solar Windjammer, so he's better in that sense than Cyber Dragon. That being said, I wouldn't run 2 and 2 because Cyber Dragon can be searched out really easily via things like Cyber Dragon Core and such. So yeah, I think 3 and 1 is a good balance. Alright, 3 Cyber Dragon Dre, he's pretty good for his first ability. You can upgrade him to level 5. If you've got a Cyber Dragon Core or another Cyber Dragon on the field, you can upgrade himself to level 5. And if it's a Cyber Dragon Core, he counts as a Cyber Dragon while on the field, so you can upgrade him to level 5 too. So he's pretty good for that. But really the main thing that I really like about him is his other ability. When he gets banished, you can you can target one Cyber Dragon monster you control and basically protect it, keep it from being destroyed by battle or by card effects. And that has saved me so many times. There's a lot of times my opponent will try and attack over a monster I've got, and I can banish this thing and protect it. So yeah, it's very good in that sense. However, that being said, we're going to get to the Cyber Network a little later, but you got to realize that this card, when it's banished, starts a new chain, and that chain doesn't start until after the end of the current chain. So let's say your opponent like Dark Holes, and then you try and banish this guy to protect your Cyber Dragon. That's not going to work. It's not going to... The effects are resolved in separate chains, so you just got to keep that in mind. Alright, 3 Vylon Cubes. I think I was like one of the very first ones to start to run this guy. Like, I very rarely see anybody else use Vylon Cubes, and never until a bit after I was running this guy. Whenever I run into somebody and I'm playing this, they might make a comment like, that's an interesting idea, or maybe I have to try that. And since I'm on a team on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Dev Pro and I chat with some other people, I've shared this idea and some people say it was interesting. It's a level 3, so level 3 plus level 5 equals level 8 synchros like Stardust and Scrap Dragon and so forth. And he's a light machine type monster, so he's easily searchable. So yeah, the only thing I wish is that he had less attack. I mean, so that you could combine it with machine duplication, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But, well, other than that, it's pretty good. His effect, if you synchro summon a light monster, you can add 1 equipped spell card from your deck to your hand. You could try running 1 different dimension reincarnation, dimension reincarnation. It's the equip spell card down here, right here. Different Dimension Reincarnation, yes, I got it right the first time. You could try running that because you could get it added to your hand via Violon Cube if you go into a light type monster. But that being said, I don't really have the space, and B, I don't really think that's necessary. 3 Cyber Dragon Core. This guy was an absolutely awesome support card for this archetype to get. I mean, not only does he count as a Cyber Dragon, so it makes it easier for some of their cards to be used, but he searches out a Cyber or Cybernetic Trap or Spell card and add it to your hand. I mean, that is just phenomenal. You can add the Cyber Repair Plant or the Cyber Network, which are the 2 best cards in this deck. So that's absolutely fantastic. And you can banish it from the graveyard, special summon Cyber Dragon. So, I mean, yeah, just all around really good card. 3 Max C and 2 Cyber Valley. This was, as of 2 days ago, this was 3 Cyber Valleys and 2 Max C, but as anybody who's watched a bunch of my videos can tell you, even when I've got a deck that I think is really well balanced, it works well, you know, it wins a lot of duels, you know, even when I've got a deck like that, I still tinker with it quite a bit. Like, every deck I have right now, except for my Dragoonity deck, I have, like, no problems with the Dragoonity deck of mine whatsoever. But other than that, every single deck I have, even if I think it's a very good deck, I'm almost always tinkering around with. So even though this is the way the deck looks right now, it probably won't look this way in a few days. I'm probably going to adjust it a tiny bit more, and it's not the way it looked a few days ago. But this is a very solid build, so I think you'll go far if you try this out. Alright, let's see. So we got the 2 Cyber Valley. Used to have 3, but out of the 2 Max C and Cyber Valley, I'd rather draw into multiple Max Cs, to be honest, because it often gets me more cards than this guy does. Like, you know, if they bring out something like a tour guide, you know, you can get +1, or you can break even on the Fiend type monster they bring out, and then assuming they exceed, you get a +1. Cyber Valley, not so much. You only break even. You have to use up a normal summon, usually, to get them out. And there's a lot of times my opponent will just kill this thing with a card effect, and then I don't get the ability, period. So, yeah, I think that the 3 Max C is better. And drawing more cards is crucial in this deck, because the one weakness this deck kind of has is kind of awkward-ish hands, and then it can slow up a bit. So, you know, if you can use the Max C to draw into the cards that you need, you're going to be in good shape. Because this deck, once you get the right pieces in place, you know, you get some things moving, it's a pretty good deck, both at waiting until you can pull off your combos, and once your combos go off, taking complete control of the game really quickly. But, you know, getting those correct cards is pretty crucial. Alright, so we got 2 Machine Duplication. It works well with Cyber Valley in a pinch. Usually you'll try and use it with your Cyber Dragon Core, because since he counts as a Cyber Dragon while on the field, you'll get to bring out 2 Cyber Dragons, making rank 5s even easier than before. So it's really good in that regard. If you do bring out another Cyber Valley, you can use one of their effects to banish both of them, draw 2 cards, or you can use one, banish 1 card, and then use the other, banish another card. So it just gives you a lot more drawing power. Let's see, 2 Cyber Repair Plants, incredible card. Searches out any of your light machine type monsters and adds it to your hand, assuming you use that first effect usually, which is what I usually do. I very rarely use the other effect. And so yeah, you can add the Elton in, Cyber Dragon, the Violon Cube, you know, whatever you need. Gets you basically anything. Some people run this at 3. I would, maybe, if I had just, you know, if they're, I don't know, I'm cramped on space. And the other thing is that it also says you can only activate one effect per turn. So yeah, if it didn't have that side effect, well, first of all, it'd be absolutely broken, but second of all, if it did, I would definitely run 3. But since it says you can only activate once per turn, I only typically run 2 of cards that say you can only activate once per turn, and that includes Instant Fusion. Because cards that you can only activate once per turn, if you draw into multiples, only one of them is live, the other ones are dead. Unless you've got a deck that needs to discard cards from your hand, like something like Summoner Monk, then that's different. But otherwise, yeah, I like to minimize the chance of drawing into multiple cards in my hand that can make it kind of dead, you know? So we got 2 of those, got 2 Instant Fusions just to bring out this guy right here. Makes going for rank 5s even easier. This guy, I'm always wondering whether or not I should run one or two, because occasionally I do need to run two. You know, I bring out multiples. Usually I only bring out one, so that's kind of one of those things I keep flip-flopping on. Alright, we got two Forbidden Lance, just to protect your monsters, obviously, because there's a lot of times you'll bring out something like a Cyber Core and they try and Fiendish Chain it, or you bring out a Scrap Dragon, they try and Bombless it, and it's like, nope, sorry, I want my monster effects, thank you very much. One limiter removal, because it makes going for OTK so easy. One Foolish Burial, just for the Cyber Dragon core, basically, because the gist of it, of this card, is a little consistency. You can send it to the graveyard, you can use its ability, banish itself, bring out Cyber Dragon, or when you send it to the graveyard, if you've got a Cyber Repair Plant in your hand and you didn't have any other Cyber Dragons in the graveyard, now suddenly your Cyber Dragon or your Cyber Repair Plant is live, whereas it might not have been before. So basically it's just for a little consistency in those regards. One Book of Moon, just a little more stun. 3 Cyber Networks. This is the most OP card by far in the deck, and you'll see in the duels I'm going to show you after this some of the awesome combos you can pull off with this thing. This thing is so powerful. Not even funny. During your opponent's turn, you can banish the Cyber Dragon Dre to protect another Cyber Dragon you have on the field. You can banish your Violent Cubes and your machines like First Solar Windjammer and then Cyber Dragon to go potentially for Synchros, or you can just banish Cyber Dragon, Windjammer, and another Cyber Dragon and go into rank 5 Xyz really easily, like a couple of them. Man, just such a good card, man. And of course, since it says when it's destroyed into the graveyard, you get its ability. Ta-da! Magical Hats again. Oh man, everybody that I play this on says that, wow, that's so unfair, or that's so broken, or wow, never would have thought that. And it's like, well, I'd like to say it was an ingenious idea, but really it's only because I use this card in Harpies, and I bring out Hysteric Sign and get the ability. So really, it seemed natural for me to try it out in this deck as well. And what's absolutely fantastically awesome about this card is that it allows you to use the ability of Cyber Network, and you don't have to skip your battle phase. I mean, really, that's the biggest plus with it. All right, we got 2 breakthrough skills, because the Magical Hats, one of the cards you bring out will be Cyber Network, the other card you'll bring out will be Breakthrough Skill. That way you've got a breakthrough skill in the graveyard you can use on your following turn. Or you can always, search out the other Magical Hats with the first one, if you don't want to draw into it again, that's always another option. That's why I do it in my Harpy deck. Alright, we got 1 Bombless, 1 Compulse, and 1 Solemn because they're mandatory, pretty much staples in any deck. The only thing you have to be careful with this deck with is if you know you're going to be having a Cyber Network killed during your next turn or during your opponent's turn, you have to be careful what back row you set, because obviously this thing kills all of the back row when it's destroyed. So you have to be careful about that, but you'll notice Compulse, Bombless, Solemn I can activate almost any time. I mean, if I've got 1 or 2 of these face down and I've got one of these that's going to be going off, it's the 3rd standby phase, next standby phase, I'll still set a Compulse and maybe a Solemn, because as soon as my opponent tries to bring out anything, I can kill it. If I think it's powerful, it's no longer on the field. I don't have to worry about it getting destroyed. And if it's not something worth using a Solemn on, then I'm probably in a pretty good position anyway. And Breakthrough Skill, I don't care if Breakthrough Skill really gets killed. I can still use it from the graveyard. During my turn, I know, not during my opponent's turn, but still, you get the idea. Alright, so that's the main deck. Now let's go ahead and jump into this extra deck here. We got 1 Cyber Twin Dragon. It can be brought out via Cyber Dragon Nova. Because while it says a fusion, some of this card can only be conducted with the above fusion material monsters, it doesn't say it can't be special summoned by other ways. So yes, it can be brought out with Cyber Dragon Nova. Same with Cybersaurus, you can bring it out with Cyber Dragon Nova if you need to. Let's see, we got Full Armored Christo Zero Lancer, which can be brought out via number 19 Freezadon. We got 2 Cyber Dragon Novas. Usually I only need 1, but out of all the cards that I would like to run 2 of, but usually only need 1, this is the one I think I need 2 of the most. So, yeah, running 2 of it. We got 1 Constellar Pleiades, 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7. This guy can be made via Pleiades or Omega. And speaking of Omega, we got one of that. We got one number 101 Silent Honors Arc Knight, because both of these can be made via Cyber Dragon Dre if these are brought back with your Cyber Network. Alright, as far as synchros go, we got one Crimson player because he's broken, one Scrap Dragon. Okay, here's one of the two big combos Cyber Network can pull off. If you've got one in your hand and one on the field that goes off and you bring back a whole bunch of monsters, like let's say 2 Violon Cubes, 3 Cyber Dragons, and you go into a couple of synchros like Scrap Dragon and Stardust, you can Scrap Dragon, kill off, set another Cyber Network face down the field, kill it off to kill one of your opponent's things, and then if you've got even more monsters removed from play, which it is not difficult at all to have 6 or more monsters removed from play in this deck, you can bring back even more monsters with Cyber Network, and you have to skip your battle phase anyway because the first one went off. Therefore, you might as well skip your battle phase again, in a sense. You know, skip it multiple times in one turn because it doesn't matter. And you can pull off even more big combos on that turn. And there's been so many times I've done something like that and my opponent just rage quits because it's like, you know, I bring out 2 level 8 synchros, 2 rank 5 XCs all on one turn, thanks to using Cyber Networks, like multiples of them, and a Scrap Dragon. It's so insane. Alright, we got one Ancient Sacred Revere, and I like rarely, very rarely make this guy, but you know, it is an option with Cyber Dragon Dre and Violon Cube. If you want to put in another level 7 synchro, like even Black Rose Dragon, you could try Black Rose Dragon. Feel free to do so, but this is the one I'm trying. Alright, we got one Armides, Keeper of Boundaries. This thing kills so many decks, it's not even funny. I mean, you know, flip effects that when they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard. Honest, you know, none of those kinds of cards have anything on this guy. It's so powerful. I'm so glad I grabbed one when I did, because that thing is so... Oh, man. One Cyber End Dragon. You could try putting one of these in the extra deck, because, again, you could bring it out with Cyber Dragon Nova. But I don't think it's very necessary. I think the Cyber Twin Dragon is just fine to use in that regard. This guy does have more attacks, so it's harder for things to get over him. And, you know, he can inflict piercing damage, but I don't know. Out of the two, I'd rather run the Cyber Twin Dragon. Alright, you could add Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. It would not be capable of being brought out via Cyber Dragon Nova, but you could obviously bring it out by getting rid of your own monsters, and if you run something like DNA Surgery, and by the way, this isn't a real side deck, obviously, these are just other cards you can consider, but if you activate something like DNA Surgery, you can use your opponent's monsters to fuse into this guy. If you use the Cybernetic Fusion support, well, somebody else would have to absolutely confirm this, or you'd have to check a ruling online, but I don't think Cybernetic Fusion support would work with this guy, because it says it can only be special summoned from the extra deck by sending the above cards from either side of the field to the graveyard, and this says if you're going to perform a fusion summon. So I don't think that would work, you know, I don't think that would work, because this isn't saying you're fusion summoning it, you're special summoning it. And this one doesn't say you can send cards from the graveyard, banish them instead of saying from the, you know, so in other words, the way it's worded, I don't think that would work with that. But, you know, if you were to add in Cybernetic Fusion support, it is searchable via Cyber Dragon Core. You could try running one of these if you're going to run something like, you know, Power Bond, you know, or something like that, but anyway, you could add a second one of these. Tyrus, Keeper of Genesis, you know, you could add. I don't think it's really necessary. I mean, any of the times I can make a rank 5, I'd much rather make a Cyber Dragon Nova or a Constellar Pleiades, or have Freezadon into a Christo Zero Lancer. No, I'd much rather make one of those things. So, out of all the rank 5s, I felt that this guy was the least necessary. You could try Cyber Dragon's Way, just another Cyber Dragon target, but I think there's already enough in the deck as it is. Evolution Burst. Oh man, I really wish I had space for this. I was trying out 2 of these before at one point in time, and it was working just great. It was a fantastic card, but then I cut it out because I had to add a couple of other cards. Like, well, which one was? I think it was Breakthrough Skill. I felt I needed more than the Evolution Burst, so I took this out. It was working great, but not enough space. Chaos Zone. I saw somebody else playing with this card, and it was working pretty well for him. But yeah, again, a space thing. I don't think I've got space for it. If you cut out a lot of the traps and you go for a lot more speed and power, less defense, a lot more options open up. But then you're at your opponent's mercy in some situations, which I'd rather not be, Overload Fusion. Another option when going for things like the Chimera attacks or whatever. Just another good card. Mystical Space Typhoon, always a good card. Everybody knows that. Dimensional Prison, always a good card. Return from the Different Dimension. If you need to bring things back faster than Cyber Network is allowing you to, you can always use the Return from the Different Dimension to bring them back. Obviously, you're paying half the life points, but hey, sometimes it's worth it, Alright, so that's the deck profile, complete with extra deck and side deck. Now let's go ahead and jump into some duels, and I can explain some of the combos. You can see some of the combos in action. Alright, see you in a tiny bit. Alright, so here we are with some replays to show you. This is one of the ones in the early days of my Cyber Dragon attempts. So let's go ahead and do this. Whoops, didn't want to pause that. Sorry. Okay, so I bring out Cyber Dragon. I could have summoned this guy, done Machine Duplication, but I decided instead, and I still would have gotten this effect, obviously, because that effect activates when it's just summoned out, But I go this route instead, because I figured that if I could bring this out on my next turn, I could Machine Duplication this. Oh, no, never mind. I did activate it. I was actually just being smart and bringing out the Cyber Dragon before I bring out Cyber Dragon Core. Okay. I thought... Bad memory, as you can tell. I was thinking that I saved it to use with this guy in the following turn, but obviously not. Anyway, I go ahead and attack him with all this stuff. Man, if I had just had limiter removal, it would have been a potential OTK right there. Now, I get the free Fine Line Cube right here, obviously, because I have no idea why he did this, but he Grapha destroyed this rather than destroying something like the Cyber Dragon or, Core. I don't know exactly why he did that, but he gave me the free cube, so... And I don't have to skip my battle phase, which is always a good thing. Now, that was just a misclick. I didn't mean to do that. Unfortunately, on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and Dev Pro, some of these things are worded inaccurately. Like when, I don't know, when you say to select the first effect, it will tell you, do you want to do such and such? And it's like, no, I want to do this. And, you go to the second ability, it says something completely different. Their wordings are just bad, in some cases. Now, knowing that he used up his normal summon, I just decided to get that thing out of the way, because I'd rather not have him kill this thing if at all possible, but... Oh, well. Now, why he did all of this in main phase 2 rather than main phase 1, I don't know. Maybe he just misclicked. It happens sometimes, but... Oh, look at this chain. So good. Look at all that attack. Yes, Cyber Eltonin, so OP. And that's where he rage quits right there, because there was nothing he could do about that, obviously. Oh, man. Yeah, let's see. What was another decent one? Synchrons was pretty good, but I'm going to show that one at the end. I'm trying to... I think Ghost Tricks was a pretty good one. We're about to find out. Yeah, a little bit of a slower start right here. You can always activate these things even if you don't have a Cyber Dragon on the field, you just can't resolve the effects. Alright, so, yeah, sorry about the phone going off. So I can't believe I did this. I meant to click yes, do you want to drop this when he brought out the tour guide, but I didn't, so he got out the other tour guide, and then I chained this thing. So that was just a misclick on my part, and it cost me a card in my hand, unfortunately. Now, he attacks directly into Stardust. That way he can flip it face down with his monster there. That's why he did what he did. Cost him some life points, but got rid of my Stardust. So you can see the order I'm getting rid of these things. I usually like to have like one more level 5 than a tuner like this guy. And then if I need to, I'll also get rid of the Dreys like this. Oh, too good. Now I know, of course, this was going to die, so that's why I got rid of the Forbidden Lands. Unfortunately, it's a waste of 2 cyber networks, but hey. These things happen. So right there, he rage quits because he knows I'm about to bring back a Cyber Dragon from my graveyard, go into another level 8 Synchro, and then, you know, I could Scrap Dragon, kill off the Ghost Trick House, or I could just attack directly with all my stuff, you know, so there was a lot of things I could have done there, so that's why he gave up when he did. Now, this one I know is pretty good. I don't remember if any of those other ones are good, but I think 3 duels is sufficient anyway to give you guys an idea of how well this deck handles. Now, this was a horrible opening. I mean, a Magical Ants plus all 3 Cyber Networks, I mean, that's just horrible. But, oh well, at least I got a lot of protection, I guess. Now, right there, I really should have activated this effect, but I completely forgot about it. Right there, you have to protect this guy. Okay, I'm going to stop for a sec so you guys can read up on these effects in case you don't know what they do. Basically, he was figuring he could banish my Cyber Dragon core, and, you know, then he wouldn't have to worry about it at all. He could just get rid of it, attack right past it, and unfortunately, that plan works out pretty well. And unfortunately, when he first summoned it, I decided not to bottomless it. I really probably should have, but I did not bottomless it. And yeah, that's what happens when you hesitate sometimes. Now right here, I knew I had to get rid of this guy, so I bombless it, otherwise I would have lost. So close, right? Wow. Oh man. Now I absolutely hate it when now let's just go ahead and get through this, and then I'll explain that in a moment. So here comes all my stuff, all my monsters. Now right here, this guy is way too good. I mean, if you don't know the abilities, take a moment to read those. So many good abilities. It allows me to stop his Stardust, otherwise my Scrap Dragon, which I bring out in a sec, would have been useless. But since I negated his abilities, he can't stop me from killing both this and one of his monsters. Now I suck his monster in so that he has absolutely nothing left. You know, I can just go ahead and go on without worrying about him having any more monsters. I could have just left it with 2 Xyz materials attached, and that might have been fine. But it's like, well, I can't attack over it, and what if he draws into some other monster which allows him to go into some kind of combos or something like that? You know, I just decide to eliminate the risk and steal his monster, you know? So I set these 2. I think I'm in a pretty safe position right now. If I break through skill his monster before he can banish this thing. Then I decide to book a Moon It. Really unnecessary, but it's like, why not? And right there, he rage quit. Now I'm going to finish that thought I had a couple minutes ago. Don't be the guys that do this. Please, I absolutely hate it when I'm so low on life points, alright? I was willing to allow myself to be defeated if necessary, you know. And then as soon as I start to turn this around, I pull off some good combos. It looks like I'm in control. Look at this. He's at 8,000 life points. I mean, rage quitting before your precious life points can get scratched like that is just so unsportsmanlike. Don't be the person that does that. But anyway, that's completely another topic altogether. Okay, so that's Cyber Dragons, both the deck profile of what I'm using and some duels showing you how to use them. What I really like about this deck, I mean, some decks are like this, but this one is especially like this. I mean, there's so many options. You can go a lot faster, more powerful. You can play a little more conservatively. And I think this is going to be a really good deck in the future. So, as always, guys, comment, rate, and subscribe, both to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council, and be sure to check out my channel as well, and perhaps subscribe to that. Take care, everyone. Mr. Valiant Master, signing off.